the grotto that we pray at, you know, adoration, whatever. It can be all of that. But I think what a lot of us forget is the secret place is internally. It's like a soul, right? So I always look at it like my soul being like a cathedral and my heart being a garden. And so everything works together, mind and heart, and excuse me, and all that. And so my private time shows up in everything that I do publicly, right? And so I take it very serious. So I'm like in praise and worship and fasting all week from Father Alex, for the companions, all of them, and for this trip. So I'm all excited, and I'm on the road before I get to the border, and just so happened I started feeling all these spiritual attacks, and I'm just like, no, I'm at peace, and I'm praying, and I'm in intercession, and I got pulled over and by the Border Patrol. They noticed I had some arrest records. And if you don't know my testimony, that's online. I don't have time for that. You won't be shocked that I have an arrest record, right? If you know my testimony. And I have two. And the first one was a really hard one, because the first one was for Grand Theft Auto. And it's a long, complicated story on that. And so I just felt humiliated a little bit. I felt like my past was being thrown in my face, and so here I am getting pulled over, and I'm going to this ordination, and I'll be honest, like, this is how Satan works, right? He just starts saying these whispers, these lies, like, who do you think you are? Like, you think you're a lay coordinator, here you are, you haven't, you know, I might cry, right? You have an arrest record, you have this testimony, and, you know, and all these things get thrown into your face, and I'm like, no, I'm not going there. And so I get to the counter, and I'm like, I can do this, right? And so the Border Patrol looks at me and says, first he starts questioning, asking me all these questions, as they do, because they want you to share freely, right? They don't want to give you the answers, what they found. And he says, so do you have any arrest records? And I wasn't really thinking, because I didn't think it was still on my record, to be honest. And I'm like, no. You know, and I'm sitting there, no, over and over. We're going back and forth. And he's like, are you sure? Because I'm going to ask you one more time. And if you don't respond, you're not going to Canada. And I was just like, so I'm thinking really hard. And I'm like, oh yeah. But that was so long ago, and I wasn't convicted. I'm like, that was in 1994 in Washtenaw County for Grand Theft Auto. And he was like, okay. And I just felt mortified and humiliated and all this stuff, right? I felt, to be honest, I felt like a loser, and I'll get to that point in a second. I just felt like this loser. And I turned around, and I just was in a hurry, I just wanted to hurry to get there. And then I turned back around, and I tried justifying it and defending myself. And I said, just so you know, it's not what it looks like and what you think, okay? That was a child custody battle that went bad, and my ex was just using that, and he claimed I stole his car, but he gave me permission for it. I didn't steal a car. So it looks bad, but it's not as bad as it really was. It was a tactic that he was just blaming, right? And he just looks at me and smirk like, whatever, baby, you know. Sure, no, all the criminals are innocent, right? Yes, we are. And so I'm in the car, and I'm like, you know, no big deal, it's the past, whatever. And you know the story. And I just started crying, and like I said, and Satan just started using all these lies again, like, you know, you think you're this, you think you're that, you think you can run from your past, this is who you are. This is how people really see you. This is how the world really sees you, right? This is who you are. And I'm like, and I just started like crying, right? And I'm just like, God, I just feel like this loser. And then the Holy Spirit convicted me and said, what is a loser? And so a lot of times, if you know my Facebook post reflections, I share a lot, right? And it sounds like I might be preaching at people, but most of it is God convicted me first, to be honest. So it's these kind of moments and experiences that I have. And I'm like, well, and then I just felt like the Lord was showing me, are you separating yourself from someone else from a different class? Wouldn't there have been more merit in it, more graces, had you just accepted and embraced with grace instead of defending yourself? Why do my people always have to defend themselves? I can defend you. I vindicate you over and over. And I was just like, you know, so I have these dialogues, right? And that's the secret place. And my whole life is like that. It's like a mini series, right? Or like Law and Order or something that just never stops. It's like one episode to another with the Holy Spirit, and we just have this long dialogue, ups and downs. And yeah, someone always says, like, does he ever stop speaking to you? Like, no, I wish sometimes. I joke about that. But and so yeah, so I'm having this dialogue, and I'm feeling like, okay, so then I have conviction. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I repenting? Through this suffering and blah blah blah. But I just started repenting, and the Lord just started speaking to me, saying, if you don't get over this, I can't speak through you where you're going, and I have a prophetic word for you in Ottawa. But I can't get through all that junk, all your trauma that you're dwelling on, all the negativity that you're buying into, all the lies you're receiving to be truth. I can't get my truth, my word through you until you clear that passage, until you clear the debris. And so that's the secret place, right? It's not, we don't always have time to run to adoration. And so I always look at it kind of like with my kids, when they were little, they would scrape their knees and get these deep cuts. We have to clean it out right away, or the bacteria could get in there, and you can have like flesh-eating disease or something, right? And you can get really bad. You got to clean it out, antiseptic, really fast. You don't wait. You get in a car accident and you're injured. You don't want somebody to wait on EMS. You want someone to show up ASAP, right? Because you're injured and you need healing now. You're cut. You need to clean that out now, not later. And so many of us wait till, well, you know what? When I get to Ottawa, I'm going to go to the Adoration Chapel. I'm going to go pray. When I get to Mass, I'm going to go pray. And all those are good places. And I'm not saying not to, to avoid Mass, obviously, and to avoid adoration in the grotto and those private times. But when stuff like that's going on, the secret place is in you. It's that deep call into deep, right? You dwell there. And so I have to work that out with the Holy Spirit immediately, or that wound is going to fester. It's no longer going to be just a hurt. Right now, it's just a hurt. If I let it stay until I get to Ottawa, that's going to be a wound. And then my weekend's going to be, God still loves me. I can still hear from the Holy Spirit. I can have a great time. We're other companions. Every day's a party around me, right? We can have a great time. It's fun. Holy Spirit's flowing. But I would have missed that opportunity for that prophetic word that God had for me for, I didn't know really what, for them. I'm assuming Father Alex wasn't sure. That's what I was praying for, right? And so I'm like, okay, hard work, right? So I'm praying, I'm interceding, I'm playing my praise and worship. The kind of praise and worship I listen to is prophetic praise and worship, and it's complicated to explain. So it basically uses spontaneous praise and worship. It's basically spontaneous from verses directly out of the Bible, right? And they sing and they pray that over themselves. And so I do that. I pray scripture over myself because music gets into places that teachings don't. That's how we learn ABCs and all that stuff, right? The rhythm. So I'm huge on that. So I'm allowing that to impart into the cracks, into the areas that I can't speak to myself and get to in the deep call into deep. And I just start lamenting, and I'm repenting, and I'm thanking, and I'm rejoicing, and I'm just like, and all of a sudden I'm in spiritual warfare, right? And so now I feel these demons on me, to be honest, and I can feel them physically on me. So I just start literally in the flesh brushing them off and rebuking, saying, you're not having me. You're not having me. I am a child of the Most High God. I am this person. God says I'm this. Truth says I'm this. Blah, blah, blah. And I just, at the same time, I'm driving and I'm shaking demons off. That's how I roll with the Holy Spirit. And we're warring all the way. I've got 9 hours. I've got a lot of time. And then I start feeling physically sick. So then I get a lot of spasms lately. And I almost felt like I was going to get a car accident. I couldn't get out to put gas in. I couldn't get in to put gas in without pain. I couldn't drive, and I'm crunched over. So I just think like, man, Lord, you really do have a word for me, don't you? Because everything's distracting me. Everything's trying to stop me. Everything's trying to hinder that word. And so I finally, halfway to the trip, get to this breakthrough moment, and I'm just like, heaven is just like, downloading in me, right? And it's all that's behind me. Satan realizes you're not rocking my world. You're not throwing me off course. Blah, blah, blah. So I get to Ottawa. I run. The first thing I do is run to the Adoration Chapel, to Father Bob's private Adoration Chapel. and it's private. It's in their office of the companions of the cross, so it's not just like anybody can run in there, right? So they're getting ready to close, and I'm like, I don't care, I just gotta say hi. So I tell the guy who I know, I'm like, James, can I get in there? So I go in, say hi to Father Bob, I'll be back, see you tomorrow. So I go back the next day, and I was in there for almost, I think like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I can't remember. And I'm sitting there for a while, it's just quiet, for a while I'm not hearing anything, and so I'm like, okay, well, you just want to be just in peace. I get it. You just want to just love on me. And there's such profound graces in that adoration chapel. Holy moly. Like, the first time I went in there, for me, I mean, it's almost like, for me, it's like no other adoration chapel. And not that even their adoration chapel is different. I mean, Jesus is all of them. But when the first time I went in there, I saw this energy cloud, like it's like a tornado in the middle of the adoration chapel. And it's just like graces. And I'm like, what is that, Lord? And I just saw this image going up in the middle of the chapel of energy. And the Lord was showing me those were Father Bob's prayers, his long-suffering prayers. And all of that is a tornado of graces that overflows onto the companions. Every priest, every seminarian. So that's why when you see or encounter or meet a companion of the cross, they all have this one spirituality. So I call it, that's the hub of their graces, is what I say, the adoration chapel, and it overflows onto their ministry, who they are. It's one in that tunnel of graces. So I start seeing that coming up again in my image of my prayer time, and all of a sudden I start seeing this pink rose, and I'm like, okay, what is that? I'm praying for Father Alex, I'm praying for Father Pierre, I'm praying for all the different priests that I know there, just the day, the weekend. And like I said, definitely Father Alex, and all of a sudden this pink rose is in the middle of that tornado of graces. And so I'm asking the Holy Spirit to reveal what is that. And he starts telling me, it signifies, it was representation to Father Alex's priesthood. And then he also gave me a lot of other words I won't share because that's just kind of private for the seminarians. There were words to take heed to and words of encouragement. And I don't have their permission, so I think that part's irrelevant. So there's a whole prophetic word for all the seminarians that I had that attached to this image. But that rose, I just kept thinking it was weird, like pink, really? Like, okay, so maybe I'm just imagining it, Lisa. Like, and I always do this, right? Is it you or is it me, Lord? Is this you or is it me? Is it my imagination? Do I want to see this in prayer, or is it truly a prophetic image? So, because I'm like, okay, pink is weird for a guy. I'm just going to be honest. A pink rose, right? I don't know. Blue maybe for Mary, red for, roses, her and all that. But pink, I've never seen a pink rose in my life in a prophetic image. And so he starts giving me these downloads, this prophetic word, long-winded word for all of the seminarians and for Father Alex. Long story short, we get to the reception, and after the reception of Father Alex's ordination mass, I'm talking to his mom, and I'm sharing this with her, and she looks at me and says, wait a minute, Lisa, that beautiful woman, I just have to say, oh my gosh, Charlotte Colati, just a beautiful woman. So if you know her, you know how conversations can go. We're just in this beautiful conversation and spirit-led, and she just has this beautiful peace about her. And she says, did you see Pink Rose? And I'm like, it was kind of weird, but she said, the first time I was praying for Father Alex, I was praying for him when the priesthood came up to her. She said, I was doing a novena for him. At the end of novena, I got this image of a pink rose, and that's when the Lord told me he was calling my son to the priesthood.
Wow.
It was through that pink rose. And I just went, wow. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Well, no, you're crazy, but not that kind of crazy, right? Don't ask people from my parish or those closest to me, right? Crazy, just not that kind of crazy. And I just went, whoa. And she was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa. And she goes, yeah, we were just in a moment of whoa. And it was still, right? And we're just like, no one's moving, no one's saying anything. And she's like, Father Alex doesn't even know that. And she's like, you can share that with him. I said, no, you're his mom, you share it. She goes, no, God gave you that word. He wanted to speak it through you. It's your word. I just confirmed it. You share it. Right? And so, of course, I shared it with the seminarians because, like I said, there was more to it for them. And they were just, like, blown away, too. And so a lot of the seminars I was able to share with, I didn't get to all of them. There's a lot of them. Praise God. And they were just, like, same thing. Like, we were just like, whoa. They're like, whoa. And they're like, can you put that in a video? So that way every seminarian can have that plus? And I'm like, yeah, which I haven't done yet, and maybe it's part of it. And so it was just like, and I just like cried that night, right? I cry a lot of times it matters to me because the Holy Spirit just moves me to tears. And you know, our voice moves his heart, right? And his heart, when he moves our hearts. And for me, it just a lot of times moves me to tears. And so that's the secret place. Had I not fought, had I not had that built-up prayer time in my life, and a lot of times, you know, people want to hurry up and run to prayer, and I haven't had time to pray all this week, but I will get to pray. It's kind of like, a lot of you know, I ran a Tough Mudder recently. They train you and tell you to do runs like that, or anything endurance, high endurance. You got to start drinking water, like a gallon of water a day or whatever, for a week to 2 weeks, out. Don't start drinking water and eating right a day before. That's not going to help you. You got to stay hydrated, right? If you really want peak performance, you got to stay hydrated. I mean, you can finish, but how do you want to finish? Strong? Stumbling? Complaining? Grumbling through it? Or do you just want to just let grace carry you through it? You got to stay hydrated. You need that Holy Spirit. You need that water, right? And so, like Psalm 91 is one of the places. There's many passages that refer to about the secret place. And so some of the words that I love is, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High, right? This is Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High, who abides in the shadow of the Almighty, will say to my refuge and my fortress. The word dwell and abide are pretty much the same thing in Hebrew. And they both mean to sit, to remain, to make, to abide. Dwell is to make, to abide. So God is showing us and telling us that needs to be our permanent address. That needs to be where we reside. We don't visit there like we do Adoration Chapel, right? So that means it can be there. It can be in our bathroom. It can be on the road. So that way when stuff happens, we're not shaken and Satan tries to throw our past at us, or somebody offends us or steps on our toe, or whatever it is that's thrown at us, we're not thrown off because we're living in a secret place. We're dwelling there. We make ourselves abide with partnering with the Holy Spirit, right? And so, but it says, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Who I trust. And so a lot of times people can go, oh, trust, okay, we know what trust means. But I'll do stuff like, I will exhaust a word for 24 to 48 hours. And I will try to interpret it in every shape, way, or form. And I'll use it for fitness. I'll see what fitness gurus say about it. I'll see what Jewish people say about it. I'll see what Muslim people say about whoever, whatever, to really make that come alive, right? And so it's just really being vulnerable and honest. And you have to be honest with the Lord. So like when I was on the road to Ottawa, I was sitting there like, I wasn't just, Lord, help me get out of this. What do I want to help me get out of? I'm honest and raw. Lord, I feel like a loser, that he convicts me. Lord, I feel like because I didn't go to school, and because of my mom this, and because I lack this, and God's going, but the more you lack, the more there's room for me, right? So it's like a win-win. So I'm not saying don't go to school and don't learn, right? But there's a win-win in whatever your situation is. God makes up for that. It doesn't matter how and where you lack. He makes up for that. But you got to be real. You got to be honest. I feel this way. I feel like people look at me this way. I don't like how this feels. I just tell him like a 2-year-old. So God has always shown me, I want you to be childlike. Tell me all your woes. Don't tell your best friend. You're going to tell them. You're going to tell somebody, right? You're going to complain and admit so. You might as well just take it to the throne room of heaven, where he can work it out. And so he always tells me, be childlike, not childish. Childish would have been, this isn't fair. Why does this always happen to people like me? It's because I'm Mexican. It's because my dad's an illegal immigrant. It's because of this. It's because of my ex, right? Had he not done this, had he not complained about, had he not called the cops, why me? That's childish. Childlike, let's just be real honest. This is how it makes me feel. And it sucks. Embrace the suck, is what they say in fitness. Which means embrace it with grace, really. It's not gratefully, it's really embracing it with grace, going, this is what's before me. I have to endure it. I'm going to endure it with strength. And so that's kind of what fitness is. So the whole sitting, abiding, and the Hebrew meaning, right, it means to sit, takes me always down to, I have this Mary of Bethany lifestyle that I try and live out. Because Mary of Bethany once sat at the feet of Jesus. So that's what I do through my day all the time, as much as possible, right? I am flesh, I am human, so I'm not always living there. I always sometimes used to joke with my confessor, I'm just trying to keep Jesus and you in business, right? So I gotta have sin. Just kidding. So gotta give you guys something to do. So gotta keep making more sins. No, I'm just kidding. So I just imagine myself all the time through work, through kid activities, through washing the dishes. I am Mary of Bethany 24/7, breaking myself open like the alabaster jar, which means being vulnerable and honest and trusting, giving him my all, sharing my all, giving him my woes, all before I would with my best friends, right? So that way he can come in the divine position and bring the antiseptic and heal that immediately so it doesn't fester. Or maybe to encourage and to bring me a prophetic word and image and prophecy or something. And so a lot of that comes with inner silence. I learned a lot of that through a lot of martial artists, right? So they're warriors. But one thing about warriors that I've been learning is they will only pick up a sword and fight with their hands as a last resort. A true warrior has inner silence, which is like reverence within, respect for life, right? They do all they can to not kill someone. And so you gotta learn to be in a fight and in chaos, but still have that silence, that reverence in you, that cathedral, the soul of how I live it for myself, right? And so it's detaching from the things of the world and the whole search my heart, Lord, and all that stuff. So that's what I allow him to do through every situation, the good and the bad and the neutral. It never stops. So that way, when stuff like that happens, it's not about being perfect and going, gosh, why did I let that trip me up? And Satan will do that, right? Why did I let that trip me up? So much for your faith, so much for you being over the prayer team, so much for you being a lay coordinator, so much for, and you use all that stuff. But it's not a matter of getting perfect at it and never having a moment. I'm sure our priests can share. They all have moments, right? They have confessors. They have spiritual directors. We're flesh, right? And what the goal is for that to be minimized, and it's learning how to respond to it and how long you're sitting in it. That's the key. And so I always try to explain to people while I'm ministering to them, what is a Catholic saint? What is a saint? A saint is somebody who knows how to be a good steward, right, and manage everything. They're a successful steward, but an unsuccessful sinner, which means they still sin, but an unsuccessful sinner means conviction, right? So they're successful in being a good steward, but they're unsuccessful at being a sinner. So, and that whole cup of love, I try to live in that place. It was a prophetic image that I got. And the cup of love is what? It's a cup of affliction and a cup of love, which is intense. So a lot of people always go, Lisa, you're so intense. I am, but if you really look at the cup, the pressure, the chalice, that's intense. That's who Jesus is, right? His path, his journey, he was intense. And that just kind of overflows. And so maybe sometimes I take it too far, but I know I can be intense and overpassionate, but it's because of things like that, right? The Lord has constantly is downloading prophetic images and prophecies in me, and sometimes it's physically overwhelming. And so I don't know, a lot of times I didn't in the past know what to do with it. So because my relationship is intense with him, because of like that experience, that's a good example of how I live with him day to day. That intensity overflows out of me. So I can't hope for being intense because my relationship with him is intense with the Father.
Praise you, Jesus.